Real estate agents, forget about recruiting. This is the way to build a brokerage. Bruno from SB Real Estate is rewriting how teams grow, and she's put together a team that is very enviable for many real estate people out there that are dreaming about owning a team. So we're going to be diving deep into that about how to help agents grow from 3 mil to 10 million and above. It's pretty simple. It's not easy. Sarah, welcome.
Hi, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on for a while. And it's really exciting what you have built. And I'd love for you to take us back a little bit to when you decided it was time to build your own team.
Yeah. So, SB Real Estate, in my mind, birthed when I got my real estate license because I'm a former business owner. And so I knew that this was going to be a new business that I was starting. And I always thought of it through that lens. But I didn't really apply a lot of pressure to myself to figure out what that meant until the first agent joined me, who's now my business partner. And I remember sitting down and talking to her and saying, okay, if we're going to do this, you're agreeing to be family. And
Right.
she's like, "Well, what do you mean?" And I said, this business is deeply personal to me. It's deeply personal to all of our clients and the people I work closest with. And so there's a real integration. And so we got to talking about what that meant for SB Real Estate and what we wanted it to look like as we evolved.
At what point did you realize this was such a personal business and that's how you wanted to shape it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just with the context of what real estate is, right? You're not only helping somebody with a huge financial decision or the biggest asset they'll purchase in their lives, you're often helping them with some transition that isn't easy, whether it's just a move for an enjoyment or because their family's growing or downsizing. But there's just the reasons that real estate transactions happen by nature are very intimate to the individuals, and you have to build an immediate trust with people for them to share enough with you that you can really be their advocate. And so I understood that. I acknowledged it. It was a piece of the business I knew that I would enjoy, but I didn't realize how much of that mattered in, my integrity shining through to my clients is the reason they choose to work with me.
Right. Well, isn't a business all about leads, leads, leads?
Not mine.
No. So that's got to be a little bit of a shift for agents that have been in the business and they're so focused on leads. You focus on people, and tell us about working by referral. It's pretty much all you do, and how that generates the type of business you wanted to build.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really the only way to be sustainable. I've dabbled in taking leads out of curiosity. So it's not that I haven't seen that side of the fence, but there really are two types of real estate agents. There's agents who are transactional and the hustle, need the deal to close, get to the next phone call to get to the next deal to close, because that's how they're, sustaining their livelihood. And then there's people who believe in pipeline building and who believe in generating a sphere of influence that trusts them enough to refer somebody else. When I meet a new person, I'm not expecting to sell that specific person a house. They may buy or sell with me at some point in time. They may have recently just bought with somebody else, but I'm still making that point of contact because they may know somebody who had a bad experience or had a good experience, but didn't quite have the same tools in their toolkit as what they've heard me share that I've helped clients with. And so it's just a point of contact that you make to demonstrate yourself as an expert in the space. And then at some point it's going to return to you. I've been part of a networking group and we have a saying about givers gain mentality. And it's so true in any business, really, is that the more that you give to others and share and support, the more likely somebody's going to want to come back and offer you a referral. And so for me, that's what felt authentic. It felt organic, and it was growing a community here locally, because when I got in the business, I didn't know a ton of people here. I had been traveling a lot from my previous role, and I just felt like I was living in a place without a community. And I was like, how can I stay entrepreneurial and build a community? Real estate just kept rising to the top, because that's exactly what this business is when you work by referral, is that you get to authentically meet and curate and build a book of business through your network. And that whole ecosystem works together so that you can work by referral.
So stay on that for a second. You said that you did not have a big sphere of influence. We're in Raleigh, North Carolina. Many, many people are moving down here. They're leaving vibrant businesses where they just were. They come down, they don't know anybody. How did you go from not knowing enough people to now having a vibrant business?
Sheer determination. I mean, I got into real estate in 2020, right before the COVID pandemic, and they weren't sure if we were essential services.
Right.
And my 9 to 5 was, how am I going to meet enough people to have a book of business at some point in the future? And then it was like, well, where are you even going to meet these people? It can be done in under that climate, right? And so
Sure.
for me, I had joined like a community-based fitness gym at the time, or shortly before getting into real estate, and became really close with the owners there. To this day, one of my top referral partners, very close friends of ours, they've bought 2 properties with me as well, but they just advocate for me. And so it was that seed of seeing that work and then just, you know, duplicating it. So I made myself available in different communities, as many as I could find, and just reached out and grew relationships.
Now that sounds, a lot of people are going to say that's, I'm not a salesy person. I can't just walk up to somebody and start telling them who I am. How does that
Yeah,
work?
I don't do that. I have like a rule of 3, honestly. Unless somebody says to me, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" Right? If it comes up in conversation, that's organic, right? You're having a conversation with some brand new person you met off the street or in a new group with new friends who your kids met or whatever the case is. And sometimes it says, "Oh, what do you do for a living?" And then, vice versa. "Well, what do you do?" And so then the door is open to talk about real estate. But if that door doesn't immediately open, it's not something that has to happen in the first or second conversation.
Right.
It can happen when it is meant to happen. And if at some point in time somebody's going to say something about the market and you're going to spawn back something smart about what's actually happening in our local market and our micro markets and what we see, and then they're going to go, "Oh, she must sell real estate." So
Right.
you don't have to force it down anybody's throat. That's a mental mindset for yourself. Is, again, not every single human being you come in contact with is the transaction. It's about the relationship building that grows that sphere over time.
So it's relationship first, hands down.
All the time. I mean, I was just thinking of an example the other day. I met a friend of a friend 3 years ago. She had just relocated here. She was trying to grow her business as a designer. Love her, think she's great. I actually hired her to help do some furnishing at our beach property. And I've just followed her for years. We've connected and built a friendship over the years, but I knew that she had a great real estate experience. She had bought a house. Well, fast forward 3 years later, she sent me a referral this past fall that closed. So
Nice.
I never expected. I wasn't, asking her for a referral the first day I met her. And yet somehow 3 years later, she's observed enough of my business to know that when her friend came to her and said who would be a good fit, she thought of me and not the previous person that she worked with. And that didn't feel forced in any way for any of the parties involved.
1 to 10, how would you consider going out and talking to new people, as far as 1 is super easy, 10 is difficult?
For me personally, I mean, oh, I don't know. It depends on the day, Joe, change, right? I think that that's part of knowing yourself, is that you're not always going to be a 10 out of 10 and outgoing category. And it depends on the environment and the circumstance. Some things feel ickier for me and other things feel more natural. And I kind of just lean into the things that feel natural or people that feel open to having a conversation. So yeah,
Will you cut yourself off from going out or picking up the phone if you're not fired up and you're not ready and if your mood's off, or do you just smile through it and make it happen?
I think I probably just smile through it. I mean, there are definitely days where I am cognizant of not overbooking myself. And like, I know that those are the days that there's like one thing on the calendar is enough and then don't do the other things. But if somebody calls you and they're wanting to talk to you about real estate, or they're wanting to talk to you because they need a referral for a vendor or because they want your advice on something, you need to put a smile on and be supportive to that person, because those are the moments and the sound bites that support the ultimate goal, which is for people to, consider you a trusted referral partner.
Yeah. So building a team is not easy. Being a solo agent is not easy. Never mind building. A lot of people dream of it and they aspire to it. What would you say is probably the most difficult aspect of it?
I don't know that I think what was difficult was pre-team. Now that I have the support built in, and that's what I was trying to do for everybody involved, is have a community that can lean on one another, because it is hard being a solo agent, and not just because you're doing everything on your own, but because real estate's really isolating. And, back to your question earlier about do you feel like you have to be on and a 10 out of 10 outgoing all the time? I mean, that can get really exhausting and emotionally depleting. And when somebody says like, "Hey, how's your day going? How's real estate?" And you have to be on all the time and tell them everything's wonderful and sunshine and roses, right? It's nice to have your inward community that you can be raw and real with.
Right.
And so the hard part was pre-team. I don't know that we have hit any growing pains yet, so I'll be honest about that. I'm sure there's challenges to come, just different personalities integrating, but right now all of the individuals have just such a beautiful experience depth, a difference of life perspective, and we're all benefiting from collaborating with each other and sharing what we've learned and what we see and do every day.
And all the agents in your team work the same way, referral based.
Yeah. Yes. Everybody, I think there's some of agents on our team who are interested in what we like to call filler business or opportunities, I should say, to meet people through diversified paths. Hey, if you can convert a cold person off the street you just met, that you're doing a great job in this business. You're earning that trust really quickly. But at its core, the chip still is, who do I meet so that they become a referral partner? Who do I meet so they become part of the sphere? And if that's through a more traditional lead source, that's great. But yes, predominantly we're all working by referral, but I'm not going to like put a black X over opportunities for
Sure.
other generation in the future.
The going back to the people that dream about building a team, you came into this focused on how you wanted to do business. You knew that. So, what would you recommend before they build a team? What should they be considering to put together, and what they need to understand before they start trying to bring in support staff and people and start spending some money and time?
Yeah, and I mean, I guess that's also answers the question of what's the hardest part. It is time management. So I think knowing yourself as an individual, you have to know what, as CEO or whatever you want to call yourself, what your strengths are. Are you the visionary? If you're not, you might not want to be a team lead or start your own boutique firm because you need to have that level of aspiration and ideas and just constant flow and ingenuity to be able to bring a vision to life for other people to be attracted to. So I think if you don't have that chip, then that kind of is a stop right there. If there's somebody else who you want to align with that has that chip because you're really good operationally, then that could be a really strong match. And that's kind of what I've done too, is that I had agents that were on my team and then I identified where our strengths were and I've elevated a couple of them to partnership because it makes sense for the other agents that are onboarding to have the best of all of us. So I think it's really just trying to figure out, your core values, obviously, in establishing any business. And then how do you communicate them to the world, to other agents, to whoever you're trying to attract, and feeling really solid about it. If something feels icky or off when you say it, then it's not the right model for you. So I think it's really getting clear on how you do business, why you do business that way.
I love that. And I think too many agents, actually, probably business owners in general, bypass that. And it's so important to understand what your values are, what your beliefs are, and getting them into actionable format.
I mean, I think we learn from mistakes. We learn from bad business experiences. I've had a lot of hard business experiences pre this industry and in this industry. It was being a leader that looked different than what I didn't like and making sure that we were upfront and honest about that out the gate, what we were going to do differently. We have something, it's an anti-contract actually. There's principles about our business and just philosophies about what individuals are bringing to the table and what belongs to them and what does not belong to the brokerage. And that was really important to me, was that we were leading with kindness and authenticity and just making sure that people felt safe and that they could, operate and build here alongside us. So I think that it was, a product of what went wrong is what I'm doing differently.
That's such a hard, that's every broker and team leader's biggest piece of the puzzle is retention, building a community. How do you communicate that and keep that going with your agent?
Well, we talk 24/7. Like I said, when I said family to Tiff, it was not just to her, it's to the other 5 agents on the team now. And we really function that way. And I think the reason that we do is because we all value it. Everybody shows up every day wanting to give and support and pour into one another, but also take from what they need on a given day and again, in an isolating business where you don't feel like you're on an island alone and have to sort it out. You have always somebody to soundboard with. And I don't think that that's something that can be replaced at other brokerages. Other brokerages I've been at certainly haven't had that. And even the ones that talk about, accountability groups and collaboration, it's to a point, and then everybody kind of, looks inward. What am I doing for my family? And for us, it's what are we doing for each other? And then everybody benefits. And I think that the like-mindedness of that and making that really like a paramount question when bringing an agent on is something that feels like it can be sustainable for the long haul.
So I'm going to answer this question for you. Picking the right agent from the beginning is crucial.
That would have been the short answer, yeah.
Yeah. No, no, keeping them there is super important too. So how do you go through what's your process to figure out what somebody, it's a person, it's not just do they know how to do the business, it's a personality match too. How do you
Yeah, it's much more that than it is anything else. And in other businesses I've run also, it's almost like teaching an old dog new tricks is not super fun. So sometimes starting with somebody who's just more open, more green, or just experienced, but not experienced in referral generation, but willing and wanting to learn, that's the commitment is that people are making to themselves in growing a real estate business. And when somebody says things that make me think, oh yeah, this is how they want to do it. They're not trying to explore throwing spaghetti against the wall 16 different ways, but they see and they hear and they, experience other people and me telling them, "Hey, this has worked for me." And they're open to that and they want to dive in head first. And that's who is the fit.
Perfect. So you provide quite a bit. You have a CRM that you support them with, and your market materials are pretty high quality. Can you get into what the image is there and what you're trying to present?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll be blunt. This business, the barrier to entry is low. You don't need a 4-year degree. You don't need any type of professional accreditation other than the licensure. You don't need real world experience. And we are my leadership team all has former entrepreneurial background or highly qualified credentials in the professional space, corporate banking, business ownership. That's we're leveling it up from the get-go, right? Is that who we are as individuals and professionals and our backgrounds are so transferable to this business, and it's what has differentiated us from other agents. And so when I think about, what makes us different, it's really that at its core. And it's just trying to elevate everything. And so I don't actually think you need to show up in a suit and tie every time. I don't think you need to wear the pantsuit or whatever it is. In fact, a lot of people see right through that.
Right.
But I do think the leave behind is the professional marketing. It's the cohesion. It's the level of professionalism that's expected in the corporate world, and all of the consumption of, brands we see every day is about brand consistency. And a more smart marketing people can tell you more about brand consistency. But for us, it was really important that because we know that we're high functioning, bright, executive level thinkers, we needed a brand to match that. And we wanted to demonstrate that consistently.
Now, is that something that you, as a group, put together, or is this something that you brought in by yourself?
It was something that I had started exploring myself when I created the brand and the colors for SB. Honestly, had I started this with a bigger picture in mind, I may have not called myself SB because it's my initials, right? But I think who we are today is a collaboration, and there's a lot of input from the team on making sure that the materials feel authentic to each of us. Because at the end of the day, our listing presentation, our buyer presentation, any of our marketing mailers that go out, as the individual agent, you need to feel good about presenting it. So we are coming together to kind of curate what the content is, and then we kick it to a professional designer to make it cohesive with the brand.
Nice. So you get together often to figure out your marketing. If I remember correctly, you were not that long ago at the beach trying to plan out the year.
Yeah, it's kind of a nice little retreat, an annual planning. We do an annual planning with the full team, and then we do a planning with leadership. So two planning sessions a year. And that's where we are laying out our whole marketing for the year. So again, working by referral is a blend of competency and character in terms of what's distributed to our network. We have event planning, we have marketing materials, we have one-off opportunities if there's something specific to the agent that speaks to their sphere or their interest, then we can kind of put our heads together and create something specific for them. But our goal is to have 12 months in advance planned out exactly what we're doing at minimum each month and making sure that we have a good balance of that character and competence. So we do that annual planning retreat, which includes personal development planning and goal setting, in addition to a real focus on what our marketing for the year is going to look like.
And the agents on your team, they have the option to use what you've put together. Can they use their own marketing? What's that look like?
We feel like if we're putting our heads together on it, everybody's kind of, backing the same materials. Again, from a consistency perspective, we're expecting everybody to feel really good about and want to use the colors and the brand and the scheme in that sense. But sure, if there's something specific, again, that speaks to their network or their sphere or just an event that they think would fit well for them individually, then we're gonna back that completely. But at this moment, we don't have like individual brands. That's everybody's just collaborating on the main brand.
Is that so? If that's one of the biggest concerns agents have when they join a team, is that they're going to lose their identity and they're building somebody else's business.
Yeah.
How does that work at SB?
Yeah, I mean, I think the team model is a misnomer, at least for our company. When you think of real estate team, you think of team lead and everybody beneath you and everybody, like you said, working to build somebody else's business. And that's not who we are. But when we say team, we mean a group of people supporting one another so that you can be in two places at once. So we do have a fully licensed, salaried support person who at the moment is accommodating schedules for all of the agents on the team. If we grow, we would scale this to kind of like a pod model concept where there's two of the support individuals and then, so on, so that nobody's ever overworked or overextended. But with this model, every single client, which is the point of the team, gets a team behind them. So from the consumer experience, they get multiple voices on a group text. They get a response. Like right now we're chatting and Amy's probably responding to a client of mine because I'm not available because I'm with you. So even if the answer is, oh, well, I don't know, I'm going to get back to you when I get with Sarah, that's fine. At least they're heard and
Yeah.
but most of the time she knows the answer because from the moment that I meet my client, I'm introducing our support person. And right now that's Amy. But there's, different renditions of this model at different brokerages. I think we're the only brokerage doing it this way where it's sustainable for the person in the support role and sustainable for me and my business. And so that's the biggest difference with what we're offering is you have a soundboard if you need somebody to help you run comps. We're doing that for each other every single day, buy side and sell side. You have support if you need showing assistance. You have support if you need somebody to join you at an appointment to demonstrate that they're getting two for the price of one. And so that's, I think, probably the thing I'm most passionate about is that I know this is the type of model I need in order to continue to love and enjoy and do this business and still be present for family things and sick events and other like that. But I know that everybody on the team appreciates it just as much as I do.
It's a phenomenal idea, and it's a frustrating conversation often that I have with agents who are so tight on holding on to every piece of that paperwork, and they feel like that is their value.
Yeah.
They don't trust anybody. They want to make sure it gets done. They feel like that is part of their core responsibility. What would you say to that?
Yeah, I think it depends on how well you train and trust the partners you're working with. There may not be somebody who is going to answer the question exactly like you, but if they're competent and they know the right things to say, they can. And I think in our scenario, because the partnership is not about transaction coordination, it's not just a background person, they're very much in the foreground. It's an inherent and immediate trust by the clients that they're going to see us probably 50-50 or 60-40. But it depends on the client, right? It depends on what their needs are and the origin of maybe the relationship, which with how much the lead agent will step in over support. And that's fine too. But I think the reality is that it is possible to scale your business and be in two places at once if you have other people who can help you with things that you don't need to do.
Would you be able to have done as many transactions as you've done without that type of support.
No, and I wouldn't be able to have 2 young children either. I mean, I wouldn't have been able to take a leave of absence for maternity or being sick or any of it. It would have set me back and I would have had to restart and regenerate the engine all over again had I not had a baked in model. I mean, you can talk to my clients from last fall when Teddy was born and leading up to his birth. There's not a single client who wouldn't have say glowing things about multiple individuals on the team that stepped in to support them if I was unavailable. And nobody ever felt passed off or that the ball was dropped because it was presented again at the origin of the relationship that we are operating as a team to support the consumer. And it's not that they're just getting me. And if I'm unavailable, I disappear. And so for me, a lot of agents see this as a detriment to their business or like somebody's going to overshadow them or they're going to hand something off that's going to get done the wrong way. I mean, I see it in the complete opposite lens. I have zero fear around it. If anything, it's going to keep me from dropping a ball and it's going to keep the clients happy and they're going to be thankful that there's a whole team working for them because it's, again, a different real estate experience than they've probably had before.
Phenomenal. I love it. Yeah. What would you say is your biggest fear in your business?
I don't know that I have a fear in this business anymore. I mean, I consistently generate business that puts, food on the table and some years are great and some years are not. And that's just what it is. And that's fine too, because I know at some point the consistency in my inputs is going to deliver an output. So I've just taken the stress off of myself. There's always going to be factors out of our control, but I feel like I finally got it right, Joe. Like I've got the right people around me. And I know that we've had wonderful client experience and that they're going to refer in the future. And so we're just going to ride the tide. It is what it is.
So I love that attitude. When you look at the markets that you've been in some crazy ones. Well, every market's different
Yeah.
every day, right? It changes rapidly. How important to your business and your mindset is the market's condition?
I think that every market has an opportunity for you to demonstrate your intelligence. And again, that is the name of the game, is that there are going to be real estate sales that happen. Your clients need to trust you. You need to lead with data. You need to understand the data. And they need to go, oh, yeah, you told me my house is less than 3 other people told me, but I'm still going to pick you because clearly you measured it and demonstrated it to me. And so I think as long as you can be honest and project and plan with what's going on and plan for the unknown too and get in front of those conversations with clients, you can work it. There's going to be things that are overpriced that weren't overpriced when you looked at the historical data, because data is historical by nature, right? But today, the information may look different because something has shifted. And so as long as you can be on your toes and communicate to your clients as things are happening and not hide from what the market is doing, then you'll be successful in this business. And there's some real opportunities on one end or the other, always, when there's a difference in markets, right? Like right now, buyers are getting really good deals, like way better deals than I've seen in a long time
Yeah.
in many of our markets. Not all of them. There's still a lot of micro markets that are performing outside of what's normal at the moment. And that normal changes. And so again, it's just about knowing the landscape. And that's one of the things I'll say about the team that's so special is that I'm not going to sell all 1,000 houses in the Triangle this month. Neither is Tiff, neither is Kendall, neither is Karen, neither is Amy. But together, we're touching the market in different regions every single week. And we're constantly talking about it. We're constantly funneling information. We all have sound bites to be able to use to sound more smart with the next person we talk to. So our clients are getting a lot better information than working in a vacuum like a lot of agents do, especially individuals who don't believe in collaboration or feel like they're nervous to share, like somebody's going to steal some trade secret from them. Like we're an open book. There's not really much to reinvent in this business. It's just being in the marketplace every single day is what matters.
This collaboration is really powerful that you have. Do you see that scalable to the level where you want to get to?
Yeah, I do. And I'll be honest, Joe, like we don't want to be the biggest brokerage because then we couldn't be the best. But we want to be the best. We want to be known as the best by our clients. We want to be the sharpest. We want to be the most on the pulse. We want to deliver the best client experience. And so you have to keep that small to a degree. You don't just open your doors to everyone. Like we said, it's got to be the right agent who believes in this model, who fits in with the fabric, who has the same level of integrity and goals and mindset. And then we can all grow together. But I think the way that this is scalable and still keeping that like kind of familial, tight knit information sharing is what I mentioned a little bit earlier was about like the pod model is that you ultimately have groups and then they overlap and they intertwine. And maybe over the years, we rotate people. So you're not just kind of stuck in your, we don't want to create like cohorts that don't talk to one another or like silos either. But at the same time, I think that in order to keep the fabric of the closeness of communication, you can't be too large. But I think we're a ways away from that being a challenge. And at some point, it might be something that we say, yeah, we're going to cap this. We're not going to be any bigger. We don't need to.
Right. What is your why?
Why real estate or why
Why this business? Because you put a lot of effort into this one entity, not just the business itself, this one entity that you're doing, a lot of passion.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the way my brain works. I'm this passionate about everything I've done. I mean, I could talk to you for hours about sweet potatoes. I used to sell produce and distribution before I got into this business. So it's the way my brain works. I get really excited about what I'm good at. And when we have positive feedback and momentum, I just want to try something new or I want to add something or change to it. And, one of the ladies has something exciting to share, then we, add and build from there. So it's just, there's this like really good energy. There's a lot of positivity and it's natural. It's not forced, right? And we talk about hard things and we support each other through hard things. We kind of pull ourselves up by our bootstraps and keep going. And so like that's my why is I'm always going to work. I enjoy this work. I don't see it. I made a post recently on my social media because my entire life I've been criticized for being a workaholic. And in this business, in any entrepreneurship, and other entrepreneurs will kind of like tip their hat to this and probably laugh, but that's what it is. There's no 9 to 5. And if you want a 9 to 5, this gig isn't for you. I don't want that. I find joy in the moments I have energy to write a marketing newsletter at 10 p.m. because that's what I feel like doing, then I'm going to do it. I'm not doing it because it's okay. Like the way I see it is work-life integration and they fuel each other. My family is, a active participant in this business and my business is an active participant in my family and we all just roll together and every day looks a little different and it's fun and it's beautiful and everybody's growing together and that's the why, right? Is that we're not stagnant, we're not bored and we have the freedom to choose. And what we have right now we're so grateful for. And if we get more, great. And if we do less, that's fine too. But I think it's just about finding happiness and being able to be happy because we have choice. And that's why I'm doing it because I've got the choice and I like what I've chosen.
Love it. So what does a good day look like for you? I know they're all different.
I don't know. Be more specific.
All right. So when you wake up in the morning, you're all powered up and at the end of the day, you're still powered up.
Yeah.
You're a little tired. You got cranking. It was a good day. Was it family? Was it closing deals? Was it meeting new people?
Yeah, it was probably a little sprinkle of everything. I mean, networking is always really energizing. So I like to do that. It's like better to look at this in like the projection of a week, right? Is like one day that's hard. But over the course of the week, if I had a networking meeting and met somebody new and heard something about their business and was like super jazzed to learn about what they've got going on and kind of support them just as another fellow entrepreneur. And then if I had a good one-to-one, a nice coffee meeting with somebody I wanted to catch up with, right? Somebody, maybe a past client, and I hadn't had, time to just have good catch-up conversation on how their kids are and what's going on in the world and maybe not even talk about real estate, but they still know that here I am, Sarah, real estate. And at some point they're going to, think of me again and refer to me. And then usually it's something fun with each of my kiddos, right? So we have an age gap, an 11-month-old and a 5-year-old, and they both have very different needs right now. And so it's finding something sweet moment and special moment with each of them individually, and then us together as a family. And so if we've accomplished all of those things at some point throughout the week, then that's a huge win.
That's awesome. So you mentioned being an entrepreneur and always never off, it's just part of your life.
Yeah.
Batteries dry up at some point if you're not careful. How do you maintain that energy? Do you schedule in time off, days off, vacations, specific time to spend with your kids and your family?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're disorganized than a highly organized chaos. So you got to have a plan. So yeah, Tim and I try to take, a date night every couple months. We try to take, a staycation every quarter. We'll take a big vacation, just the two of us once a year, and a big vacation with the kids once a year. Like over the summer, we took a week and just everything was off. And I had clients closing that week, and they were taken care of, and they were thrilled, and no big deal. So yeah, we bake in all the good stuff and the rest days and all that. And I'm good at doing my own rest, during the week, whether it's a sauna session or a workout or a facial or something. Like that's the other beauty of this business, is that like it sounds like a hustle, but some weeks are quiet and some weeks are not. And the weeks that are not, we'll put in 80 hours, and other weeks we'll just kind of be like, we should take a nap. It's 2 o'clock. And just do it because you can lean into it. So some of it's scheduled time, and we look forward to those things, but other times it's just, hitting pause and going, well, do I really need to do that right now? Or can I? No.
Right. All right. One last question, and I really appreciate your time here. And so I want to share to agents that are out there right now that are thinking of building a team. Obviously, if they're thinking of joining a team that fits them, if that fits you, that you're the spot to go to if they do want that collaboration. As far as somebody that wants to build their own team, what would you say is the biggest lesson you have learned through this process that you would want them to know?
I think the biggest lesson is that even as, leader or whatever you want to refer to yourself as, you've got to surround yourself with people that you can learn from, that you want to emulate in some way or another. It doesn't need to be in certain aspects of their personal life or some bit of both, but just, knowing that you are smart, that you're capable, and that this is not a 9 to 5, then you can do it. If you can, but at the same time, you need people around you who can help you fuel your hustle, who are pouring into your battery life, like you said, so that you can get that momentum to grow and build and sustain. Then you're, the pillar for other people to feel supported by. But you can't do it alone. And so I don't think that you need to really think of it as a hierarchy, but you do need to think about it as who you're choosing to be alongside.
Excellent. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your wisdom and your unique operation that you have. It's really something different. And knowing you and knowing the members on your team and the quality that you do, you've done it really well, very well. So
Thanks, Joe. Yeah.
congrats on that. All right. So viewers, please subscribe, stay tuned. We always have phenomenal people on the show that are going to save you some time in your life, give you some ideas. Be best. Have fun.